Taylor involved. BNC's Brittany Jones has been following this story all day long and joins us now. And Brittany, we're seeing it already with the protests in the streets. A sad state of affairs for Breonna Taylor's loved ones and for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky, I would imagine.
Yes, Fred. People are angry because they were so full of hope that they would see all of the officers arrested while waiting these past few months after Breonna Taylor was killed. You would always see posts on social media saying, arrest those officers involved in her death. This wasn't the answer they wanted to hear from Attorney General Daniel Cameron. But today, he said the officers who weren't charged were justified in their actions. For months, Breonna Taylor's name has rang throughout the streets of Kentucky and around the country. To many, her life mattered.
It feels like today, and I think it's a fact, that black lives do not matter to our elected officials in Louisville, in Kentucky, and apparently in this country. This has been an incredibly traumatic, difficult time for the community.
A traumatic time that's led to a nonstop fight for justice. And today, after much anticipation, people's hopes took a heavy blow.
According to Kentucky law, the use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves. This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges.
The grand jury deciding not to indict Kentucky Police Sergeant John Mattingly and Detective Miles Cosgrove. It said the two were defending themselves from Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who fired one shot when they entered Taylor's apartment. Instead, the grand jury only charging former Detective Brett Hankinson, who now faces 3 counts of wanton endangerment. But those charges are for when he fired shots into an occupied nearby apartment during the shooting when Taylor was killed, not actually for her death.
I certainly understand the public's desire for answers, and many have questioned the length of the investigation. Simply put, we had to try every means necessary.
But today, we learned around 24 gunshots were fired the night of March 13th. 6 of them struck Breonna Taylor. Cameron says ballistic evidence showed there was one fatal shot that killed her. And though all 3 officers fired their guns, Cameron says there were conflicting findings from 2 separate crime lab investigations when it comes to who actually fired the fatal shot to Taylor. The FBI crime lab determined it was Detective Miles Cosgrove, but another analysis couldn't determine the shooter.
The truth is now before us. The facts have been examined, and a grand jury comprised of our peers and fellow citizens has made a decision. Justice is not often easy. It does not fit the mold of public opinion, and it does not conform to shifting standards. It answers only to the facts and to the law.
But Cameron also says there was no body camera footage to help tell this story, and that investigators had one witness to corroborate the officers' stories when the no-knock search warrant was served.
Criminal homicide encompasses the taking of a life by another. While there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges are not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed, and the grand jury agreed.
But people are outraged that the charges filed did not include murder. And while Cameron says it wasn't an easy decision, for those who are heartbroken about the outcome, it's not good enough.
And to announce the charges, 3 counts of endangerment, that didn't even include Breonna Taylor's apartment, a $15,000 bond, and to have us wait for 6 months for that it's hard to put that into words.
Hankinson's charges are felonies, and if he is found guilty, he could face 5 years in prison for each count. Attorney General Cameron also mentioned he is creating a search warrant task force to review search warrants that will include members of the community. Fred and Laverne, back to you.